As soon as we get it up.
Just be aware, man, the camera's right behind you, so.
Perfect, yep, I'm gonna try to stay.
No, but just like a conversation.
Yep, oh, got it.
Matt's gonna act out all the slides, so get you guys dancing along with that, so that'll be the reason. Do you have this video?
Cool. Well, while Joel's getting set up, first and foremost, thank you all for joining today. We're going to be walking through how to get the most out of your POS system. There's really two broad aspects of what we're going to be talking about, and I'm going to be walking through the data aspect of it, so please don't fall asleep. I'm going through what I feel are some of the key data points that you should be looking at and using in your day-to-day business and managing your golf course, so from P-time data, point of sale, and customer data. Then Joel's going to do the fun stuff. He's going to talk about acting upon your data and putting together campaigns in place and more from a social engagement standpoint. So that's where Joel's going to come from that stuff. But
I don't know where our IT person is to switch over. They were and then they ran off, so. So one of the most important things, so we're talking about point of sales. We each represent a point of sale company in this industry. So everyone in this room doesn't use just ours. You all have lots of different systems. So we've done a lot to tailor this, not just specific pieces that all of our systems do, to make it unique. And so when we talk about point of sale, it's not just saying, here's what ForeUp golf software does, right? It's not just, here's what these pieces do. One of the things you'll notice is we're not also inventing the wheel in this conference, because as I've given this similar presentation over and over at different sections, conferences, and golf and others, one thing that we notice hand over fist is when we consult with golf courses or other small businesses, brick and mortar, we recognize very quickly that what we say people get excited about, and every time we check in week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost always they've never applied those. So what we're going to do is we're going to have this is a longer session, right? So we have a little bit of time carved out in the beginning. Apparently we'll have a little more until this actually gets going. But we're going to do some breakout sessions. So we're going to take 5-minute breaks as we go through it. I want you to just go in a couple rows, congregate and chat and come up with ideas. Then we're going to quickly share that with the group, or maybe a few of those. Because the goal of this session is not to sell you our point of sale system or just talk about point of sale in general. It's to talk about the current point of sales you have and how you can execute some of these simple principles. Now again, I don't think there's too much revolutionary you're going to hear that you've never heard before. But what I'm hoping you do is you say, I've heard it now. How many times did you hear it? Usually 7 times, right? I hope you've heard it 7 times. You actually make a note, put a calendar in your phone, put some action, shoot back to your team back at the office or the club and say, we're going to do this. We're going to sit down next week and make it happen. So that's the intent of this session and what we're doing. There we are. So we're plugged in, but it's just we're not creating videos over. At least that's what it is. we'll start a little more of introduction, and then Matt's going to kick it off. So introduction on myself. If no one's heard of ForeUp, that's okay. We're kind of the newer guys in the industry. My name again is Joel Ragar. I started out of college in Utah, of all places. So I grew up in Arizona, knew that was a good golf place. My co-founder, the guy who started with me, grew up in California, another great golf place, and somehow we ended together and started a golf company in Utah, which is always the butt of every joke when we call courses and tell them where we're located is because they have no idea how we can be in touch with any golf course. But I want to share my background. So my background is a golfer. If you're going to go out golfing with me, a few in this room I've seen I've golfed with, and you'll notice that I'm going to shoot, hopefully on a good day in the 90s. So I'm not winning you any tournaments. So you don't take me, you take one of our other guys in our office that's going to get you. The reason that I have any acumen to speak on this is because we entered the space not knowing hardly anything about golf. But what we knew a lot about was technology. So all the development of our technology and the understanding of running a business has come from you guys. So from you as operators saying, look, you've given us a great bit of technology, now here's what we need, or here's what we've heard about, or come to these conferences. And so the stuff we speak about isn't legacy known things I've known throughout any history of working in the space. It's more of just working deep in the data. And again, that's the point of our point of sale. We really want to get in this conference of talking deep into the data that all of you have, regardless of what system you're using, and make sure you pull out of that to run your system a lot better. We get signups every month, as every company does. And some of those are brand new people that just bought a golf course. And the first thing that usually happens when someone brand new buys a golf course is they have all these ambitions and ideas, but they can't really act on a lot of those. And that's what we're trying to do, is help you learn how to take your data and execute. So if we can't get this going, then we're just going to, are we not still on there? Okay. I can hold my laptop up to you guys if you're really square.
Okay, well, while he did that, it's my turn to talk about my background. So,
VGA, but
my background comes from,
we're not giving
was at the
connection
other day. I worked for 3 main companies through a number of acquisitions. It boils down to 10 different T-sheet and point-of-sale software companies that I've been associated with in some way or form. And I've been with 3 major distribution partner companies as well, all with the exception of Golf Now on any of that. So I've worked with golf courses all over the world. I've worked with some of the smaller golf courses from selling $500 a year solutions to, I've done six-figure deal size system deals. But at the end of the day, what all the same systems do is they provide you with a lot of meaningful data, and that's the part that I'm going to talk about. So hopefully that'll start with this. But I'll talk about the first slide that I have up, which really is the evolution of the systems, where I actually started off in a DOS-based system. And that talk about very difficult times in trying to first train people on how to use a mouse, how to use a computer. Then that moved into Windows-based systems. And those were the days when we were selling systems again for $30,000, $40,000. Of course, we're paying $4,000 to $5,000 a year, in annual maintenance costs. And really, it's been up until just recently, and the last 5-10 years, where we've seen the evolution of cloud-based applications. And first it started off with operational efficiencies, why they wanted to get into technology. Then it moved into collecting data. I remember I got asked every single time, and for a number of years at trade shows, how do you collect emails? We want to collect email. That's what everyone did, was just collect email. And they just emailed everybody everything the same thing. Right? So here we are, all evolving. And now, today, where I see it is, it's about using that data to better run your business. What's really cool about all of this, too, is how our industry has evolved. It's just not about T-sheet software companies and point-of-sale software companies, but there's been a creation of a new space where it's third-party companies that are out there that are offering services to help you understand your data better, that are helping you do data analytics and maybe advanced yield management dynamic pricing tools. So that's where I'm seeing a huge increase in this space. And I think we're going to see a lot of it in the coming years, where experts are going to be coming in. They're actually pulling the data right out of the T-sheet and telling you these are the exact people who spent this exact amount, who haven't done this amount of time. Theoretically, we talk about that all the time. You know, I want to make sure I'm emailing people who haven't played my golf course. But now we're getting very granular, very specific. And that's where we're seeing us, T-sheet vendors are having to work with these companies and really evolve into being very open-based systems. Obviously, without all of that, you know, we've seen a change in payment models, you know, from high-end license deals initially, where you can pay the high up front. Then there was the introduction of barter, and then we've seen kind of how that has all progressed. There's definitely, we know the bad about barter, but there's definitely, you know, good, you know, barter models that are out there today. But what's really cool, I think, is, you know, the subscription-based models, where it is affordable monthly fees, where you pay as you go, and you're not having to be locked into some, you know, astronomical contract, or feeling like you're locked in, you can't get out, and having to pay some astronomical price up front. So data, there's a lot out there, and it is somewhat kind of intimidating. I'm not going to use the word big data. We are golf data. I know there's lots of companies out there that are analyzing by far more complex data, you know, systems out there. But I'm going to talk about the T-type, customer, and retail data. So on the T-type data elements, the key things that you need to be looking at are the top 5, which is your occupancy, your player type mix and channel mix, your days out, windows booking, window, how far advance are people booking, your revenue per available round and average rate, and then your playable hours. So then I'm going to walk through, you know, acting upon that data, a couple of points on the T-sheet side. So on the occupancy, let me get a show of hands here. Who here knows what their average occupancy was between 8 and 10 a.m. at their golf course for the month of August? Who here knows that number specifically? Very few hands here, right? But that's one of the big benefits is understanding is how busy is my golf course. When I look at this screen, and you know, every system has sort of a flavor of this out there, you know, you can really start to understand when am I busy and when am I not. You know, and then from there, you take that data and we're going to start to build other components on top of that. My player type mix. So what type of golfers are playing my golf course? So are my members and pass holders taking up too much of my available inventory? I remember an install I did, it was actually at the good old Canada city of Hamilton, where they implemented the system and they looked at their mix, and it was 75% member-based. It was a municipal golf course, and the courses were going into the ground. And that person came in, and they had to make some changes, and it was like, listen, I have no available inventory, no way, no means for me to make money at my golf course because my members are taking up too much of my round. What's cool about this too is, like, you know, how can you improve the category if you're seeing something that you thought had higher potential, that maybe you have a higher average rate for, you can go ahead and maybe market or you know, reach out to that group a little more and target market those specifically. You know, like I said, one to cut back on. Can you create a new category? You know, is that something that's, you know, out there that maybe you've heard from other golfers or other golf courses? So booking channel mix. So how do I look at where, you know, how are my rounds being booked? Are they being booked through my online booking engine? Are they being booked through my mobile app? Are they being booked through distribution? You know, so really kind of understanding, you know, how are these golf courses making my bookings? Because later on, when we kind of look at this, you want to start to market and segment, you know, availability and promotions. This is one aspect you need to look at, right? Like, are my, you know, are my third-party distribution partners selling too much? Maybe I need to scale back on them where I have a higher yield and open up, maybe, you know, promote harder on my booking engine. Do I need to work harder with my regional hotel partners, you know, that are, you know, doing local stay and play packages? There's a lot of that. There's local, you know, regional hotel partners that work very closely with many all across North America. And, you know, they're really building and selling your brand, and they just want to work more closely with you. And I think there's a great opportunity there for you. So days out in advance. So the same question I asked about, you know, your occupancy. Do you know how far out in advance your golfers are averaging booking your golf course? So let's say for Saturday, how far out are people averagely booking their golf courses? Who would know off the top of your head? Right on the front. Yeah. So again, just a handful of golf courses. So when I look at that, I say, okay, I'm wanting to implement the yield strategy of my golf course. I'm going to do some fluctuating of rates. Well, I'm not going to have my rates start to drop in 3 days because I see here in 3 days, that's where I'm getting most of my bookings. So I'm going to wait until at least a day out or a day and a half out for any of those parameters to kick in because most of my rounds are being booked 3 days out. So that's the type of data that I really like, that I get excited about when I see that. The 10 days out, okay, well maybe that's some tournaments and stuff. But, you know, you can look at this and say, how can I have a goal to get my 3-day window? How can I get my 4, 5, and 6-day window up as well? Like, you know, we're all talking about how do we get golfers to go further out into this? It's very difficult to do that, right? You know, they have choice, you know, and a lot of, you know, courses, they, you know, they're lowering the rate the closer that they get. So it's something that's very difficult to do. But there's definitely ways to go out doing it. I've seen success in the market, you know, just to encourage those people to do that. I know one course, their 8-day window mark is probably the highest point ever because they're sought off their golf course, so heavy, you know, they are a municipal course, and they're 7 days out, but they instituted an 8 to 30-day window, booking window, and they charge $5 more for that tee time, and it just goes through the roof. So booking window. So how far out do my customers book? So now understanding that by my player type, so let's talk a little bit about that. But also understanding how far are people booking out by channel. That's important when you're working with other distribution partners, and even with your own channels if you're online. How far out are people booking? Because again, when Joel's going to watch some of this stuff, he's going to be talking about leveraging different social media aspects and engaging with them and knowing, okay, I'm going to email or target or text these people because I know that they book the most on the phone or through my app or through my online booking at these specific time points. And then good old promo codes. I think this is something that, you know, I see courses they try and they give up on, but it's still something very relevant out there today, is to be leveraging different social media platforms and throwing out promo codes. Promo codes today, they have so many parameters that you can place around it to control when they play, you know, so you're not cannibalizing your prime tee times. You can limit how many, you know, usage points that you get. Very, you know, very sophisticated today than where it was way back when. So this is one that's, you know, RevPar or revenue per available tee time. I've been seeing this, you know, in the last couple of years coming up by a lot of, you know, number of companies that are aggregating data in markets and looking at, you know, what's my revenue per available round. And, you know, when I was kind of thinking about this, going back in the old days, you know, we had reports that would tell you that for every golfer that came in, you had an expectation that you had, you know, $1.50 in hard goods and $2.50 in soft goods that they'd be buying, but also in the restaurant, right? You knew for every golfer that came in, you know, how much they would be spending. So this is using your historical data to get a good understanding of that. But also, it also tells you, do I need to have staff in the restaurant at that time? Because I'm only going to be making, you know, for every round that comes in, I'm only making, you know, next to nothing, not even enough to cover the labor for the restaurant. So maybe I just need to do some coffee and the golf shop and, you know, let that go that way. But the big thing too with RevPar is to measure against your expectations. You know, make sure you're watching that on a monthly basis at least. And then you got your good old average rate, you know, is it going up, is it going down? But take that a little bit further and look at it from day of week, you know, the day of week and then the segment of the day even, and then be sure to be comparing that. Again, we'll be going through ways to engage people on that, so if you start to see your average rate going down, well maybe you need to start to work on different types of promotions or deal strategies in order to get that to go up by targeting certain segments. This isn't new, but it seems to be more of a topic, definitely with Calusa putting together and aggregating weather reports, but you know, systems today were able to tell you, you know, what your available rounds were within a given time frame with weather integration points. You know, a lot of the time it's like, man, we had a great month, and then you move on. You didn't analyze why did I have a great month, and maybe weather was up, or year over year we were so far ahead, or we were so far down. So you can really take a look at this now and understand, all right, it has more specifically to do with weather and the weather impacts my business. There's all dynamic pricing, yield, I'm not sure what everyone calls it, but to show of hands here, how many courses have implemented a dynamic pricing system today? Very good. How many have done it and then had to stop? Okay. And then how many of those that put up their hand, how many would you say you increase your rate but you don't decrease your rate? Okay. It's a little bit of a trick question. When I think about dynamic pricing, there is no floor rate, right? Your rate's kind of moving up and down. But one of the things that I talk about is this is not about a discounting strategy. This is about pricing your inventory appropriately, right? You can easily, get into that discount path of your off times and create a mess. But definitely what you got to do first is you got to know your numbers. All those things that I walked through earlier about capacity, booking window, average rate, and RevPar. You got to know those things first in order to be able to successfully implement a yield strategy. Now, very basic, what I like to talk about, I know there's yield strategy, speaking sessions on here, but these are the ones that I work with golf courses. Somebody asked at a conference I was just at, they said, well, what are some basic things that we can do? And it says, well, first and foremost, when someone asks you what's your fee rate, you don't say, my round rate's $50 on the weekend. You start off by saying, our rates, vary from $50 to $75. So make sure, and then at the very least, if you don't want to do that in general, make sure you're doing that for the weekends in your quote ranges. Now, this was a tactic to work with DRS, with a couple of customers up there. What they were saying is, from 8 to 11 a.m., you can charge $5 more for your tee time. Because I knew my capacity was 95%, right? I lost rounds, people wanted to play, I turned people away. I could at the very least do that by charging $5 more per round. Or, you can even get a little more specific and say, on the hour tee times or half hour tee times, so 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, you hold those tee times off your tee sheet, you block them off, you just keep them off. And then you release them 24 to 36 hours out, 15 to 25% more. That's just a very basic, something you could easily implement without having to go into anything too sophisticated. My favorite, value-adding tee times. I've talked a lot about that in the past, worked with a number of groups on that. But, try to encourage people to book further out. Instead of discounting, you value add those tee times. I believe in it. I think it works in the right environment with the right golf course, really advocating and marketing and pushing this concept, rather than discounting. I know it's tough sometimes also to do that, but, by all means, it is workable. So here's just a quick screenshot of, of a occupancy for the week, and I kind of highlighted a couple of things. So green, I see it as very high, obviously 100%, 87.5%, 90%. I see that as a huge opportunity to increase my average rate. I don't think that you would impact your business, number of rounds, any, by increasing your average rate during those times. So if you look at it from day segment by day of the week, at the minimum, that's some of the information that you can get to do that. But then when I look at some of the red circle points, and I'm sure I could have circled a bunch more, these are opportunities for you to start to, possibly lower your rate, but value add or do more promo code targeting during those specific segments, right? With the tools that are available via social media, text and email, all that stuff, you can do that. So how many people have done this as an exercise at their golf course where they say, here's where I can increase my rate, and here's where I should do something different? We're all going to do it when we leave here, right? So now there's automating dynamic pricing, and there's a third level which we can talk about after this, but this is where you go ahead and you say, all right, between 6 and 10, in the morning or whatever, however I want to create it, I'm going to go ahead and say between, if I'm at 0 and 25% occupancy, I'm going to discount at 25%. There's other layers that you put in there by so many days out. I think there's even, you can implement weather statistics in this as well. But very simple, you can automate it. There are definitely negatives to this because it could be weather, right? And then all of a sudden the weather changes and now all of a sudden it's sunny and the system's gone and discounted all your inventory and now all of a sudden there's a huge demand, right? So there's some stuff that you can do from automating it, but you gotta be careful about that as well, right? I think it's a bit of a mixture where maybe your Saturdays between 8 and 10 because I saw my occupancy report. I can maybe automate that all day long, but maybe some other variables or other time frames I shouldn't do that. The other one is, on the bottom right there, is the ability, and I call this a form of dynamic pricing, but it is the 24-hour, 48-hour rate based upon your days out. You want to make sure you watch that. Maybe I went ahead and just automate my system to discount my pricing 15% between these hours within 24 hours out. Right. That's dangerous. I think you got to be careful of who you are. I see it as a great strategy in trying to turn a golfer to book on your website. When there's those hot deals that are out there and they're trying to find them, like you might as well have some too. So they are typically the last minute shopper to some degree. But make sure you don't have this set up, many days up in advance if you're looking again at all the different parameters to do that. And this is just another sort of slide version of I'm taking into account weather and manually managing this and see, okay, so today, here's my occupancy, and now I'm going to go ahead and apply a yield strategy just to the day. So this is more of a manual approach. Maybe before I do that, there is a session where we put on my price swing and learn a lot about that. That's sort of the third level where they're taking an algorithm, they're looking at a lot of data historically, they're looking at the future, they're looking at a lot of different dynamics that are then coming up with the price points. And that's where I see, a couple of different companies in the space already today that are doing that. So here's a self-managed version of it, and then you got yourself the experts call it that, right? So Time Ecommerce, again, I'm kind of focusing on line and kind of where we're going with technology and the T-sheet side, but how many people here book their hotel online? No, how many people here book their room online, right? How many people prepaid for the early check-in for the hotel here at Area for $50? I did. I didn't get the room early enough, but golf doesn't have that. Golf doesn't really have that yet. But we've been cross-selling, we've been bundling, we've been doing 9 and 9 things all day long for many, many years. But what's cool about this is now with how that industry has evolved, this is some of the direction of where some systems are getting into. But what's absolutely incredible is that 35% of Amazon's revenue comes from cross-selling. Now, they got very sophisticated, incredible tools to do that, but 35%. But the airline business is 40% of their industry. Yeah, like it's way up there that people are buying all of these add-ons. So why can't we be doing that, right? Why can't we be having, so when they're going through the booking process, that they're prepaying for a $10 food voucher for $7.50. They're saving some bucks there, right? 15-minute putting lesson they're pre-buying. They're buying additional loyalty points, right? We're seeing that with airlines. I think that's something that if I needed to beef up my points, that's just free money to you guys to some degree, right? They're just buying some additional points so they can get their additional free round from you. I'd take money for that. But really, at the end of the day, I think the ideas and the creativity that's out there to introduce that stuff is sort of endless. But I think we're at the infancy, in our industry of introducing that. But really interesting stats here, so something to think about. It also hides the discount, well, that's what I like, and you also have them, you take the thinking away from them by bundling, you kind of make the choice for them. Like sometimes things are not, they're a no-brainer. But if you're going to sell a green fee and a driver, you're not going to get any of those. So before I do that, any questions on the tea time stuff that I talked about? Okay. So I'm going to get into customer data, and I know that there's other sessions that are going. Jules want to talk about it a little bit more, but really at the end of the day, it's gathering very specific information as much as you can. We've been through this for a number of years, and why do you want to do it? So obviously getting profile information to help you engage your customers